Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Mindset Reset Radio. I'm really excited to share this episode with you today because this is the first episode in which I'm sharing a monthly affirmation. I love affirmations because the words that we choose affect every area of our life, right? And so by creating an affirmation that resonates and then repeating it over and over, we are not only changing the way our brain works and the information we're choosing to take in, but we're also shifting our energy and we're shifting our vibration. And what we're putting out, more like putting in our heads, is attracting more of what we actually want. And it's as simple as repeating a few words consistently over and over. So I'm going to start offering a monthly affirmation here on the podcast, and I'll be sharing about it also in my Instagram community at Jessica Thiefels, if you want to join us over there. But today's affirmation, March's affirmation, is really simple. Every choice I make is in service of the life I want to live. So I'll repeat that one more time. Every choice I make is in service of the life I want to live. I absolutely love this affirmation because it reminds us that we have agency. We have the power of choice. We can affect change. We can create the life we want to live. We can design the business we want to run simply by making those choices every single day. But what comes before those choices is owning what it is that you desire, owning the life that you want to be choosing to live, that you want to be making those choices to get to. Because here's the thing, so often we don't own the life that we want to live because we are afraid that we're going to be judged, or we're nervous that we can't do it, or we wonder what's going to happen when I actually get there, then what? So we'd rather stay where we are. We'd rather do what's easy or what's expected of us. So step one is really owning that. And I want to give you two examples of when I've done this in my life and what came from actually owning it. So a few years ago, like 5 years ago, I was working with a business life coach, Dave Keenest. He's amazing. If you want to connect with him, let me know. I would be happy to connect you. And he asked me a really powerful question that I hadn't really truly considered before. And that question is, what would your life look like? What would you need to do so that every single day you get up and you're excited about the day? Like, what does your life look like when you're excited every day to get up? And I thought, I want to be an author. And it was this really funny moment because I am a writer at heart. I run a content marketing agency. I've been writing for my whole career. I was a journalist in college. I went to school for journalism. But I never allowed myself to fully consider and own that I wanted to be an author, like a book author, and not just an author and write a book and self-publish and check that box. No, I want to be a multi-best-selling author. I want my books to be known and I want my name to be known because I believe that I can have the greatest impact and I can lead through my words and through my books. And in that moment, I owned that desire. I owned the fact that, hey, I actually want to do this. I want to make this happen. That was, what did I say, like 4 or 5 years ago? I now have 2 published books, another on the way. And one of the books that's published, I've actually updated, made way better. And I'm republishing this month in March of 2022. So owning that. And now 4 years later, here's where I am. And so I started making these little choices. I decided to, when we traveled the world in 2019, I'd always wanted to write my way through Italy. And I didn't really know what that meant, but I just had this idea in the back of my head. And so well before Italy, on our trip around the world in 2019, I started writing my book and I wrote a book. This book is currently fully edited in manuscript form and does not currently live anywhere. That's like my baby. That'll come soon, eventually. But I wrote a book on that entire trip. So over the course of 9 months, I wrote my first book. And that was like a choice that I made because I decided to own that I wanted to be an author and I wanted to be a multi-best-selling author. So simply owning what I want is what helped me then start making those choices. Another example is from very recently. So we've moved back to Vermont in April 2020 after living in San Diego for 9 years. And we are starting to build community here. We're from here, we're born and raised here. We have a lot of friends that still live here, but in the time that we were gone, they built their own community and they made new friends. And so it's like moving to a new place. We have to do that for ourselves. And there are, shifts that come as you're adults in your friendships and in your relationships. And so I pulled a tarot card yesterday and I asked for just essentially like wisdom and guidance in the shifting of these friendships and in this new community that I'm trying to build. And the card said, basically, hold true to the vision. Know that things are happening behind the scenes that you might not, you're not seeing, you're not experiencing, but hold true to that vision and trust that everything is aligned and that it's happening. And I realized that I had this vision of my personal life that I've never really fully like owned and embraced. It was like, oh, I have this idea, but I never even thought of it like that. This, as I really took time to think about it, I was like, wow, like I do want friends that want to come to these summer concerts with us. I do want friends that want to go spend a weekend and we do like a big family trip with our kids and our spouses. Like these are the friendships in the community that I want to cultivate. And I knew that in the back of my head, right? Like a lot of the things that we want are there, but we're not like, hey, I want that and I'm going to move toward it. And that's the power in this affirmation, is that it brings us back to that. If we repeat this every day or every couple days, whatever, it continually brings us back to, yes, I'm making the choices in service of the life I want to live, but more importantly, I'm owning that this is the life I want to live. So with this affirmation comes 2 questions for you. The first one is, what is the way that I desire to live, to be, to run my business, whatever it is? Try to get specific and then own that. So I want that and I'm going to own it. And I guarantee you right now, there's something in your head, in the back of your mind. It's niggling out. It's like, here I am. What is that thing? Because that's probably the thing that you need to own so you can start making choices to get there. And then the second part is, and this is a good reflection question if you want to do some journaling, is how did my decisions yesterday, my decisions today, and the decisions that I'm going to make tomorrow get me closer to that life that I desire? I always like to say every choice you make gets you closer to or further from where you want to go. And I want to remind you that it's not just the big choices like starting a business or writing my first book. It's those little tiny choices. It's the people you choose to spend your time with. It's the way you choose to spend your time. It's the words you speak to yourself, the clients you choose to take on. These things that don't seem super important are those choices that are inching you closer to or further from that life that you want to live. So in March, I want to encourage you to own what it is that you desire, own that life, that vision that you see for yourself, so that you can start really taking action. Even those tiny little steps are getting you closer to that place. And with each step, you see the reality, it gets closer and closer, and you can start really seeing like, wow, I can make this happen. And you get more confidence and you get more data points that say that you can make this happen. And all of a sudden, one day it's there. All of a sudden you've written your book or you've had a 10K month, whatever it is that life is that you see, it's all of a sudden there. And you're like, wow, I did this. And that starts now. That experience, that journey starts now. Every day you don't make a choice to get there is one more day that you are holding yourself back from reaching that desired life that you want to create. I hope you enjoyed this affirmation. Please share your feedback or thoughts with me on Instagram at Jessica Thiefels. And otherwise, I will catch you on another episode of Mindset Reset Radio.